Joined on Chamber Amplified now by Amanda Fisher of Corporate Intelligence Consultants. Amanda, thanks for joining us on the podcast today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So I saw your colleague Allie Mack post on LinkedIn. I think it's been a few months ago, an update to E-Verify. I got to thinking that is something we have not talked a lot about as a Chamber of Commerce, but feels like it's something that could impact our members. So Allie put me in contact with you, and we're here to learn about all things E-Verify today. Let's first talk about what that is to get people in the loop who may not be familiar with what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So E-Verify is a federal program that essentially is a way to verify new employees' work authorization. They're legally authorized to work for a company. Now, this is a federal program. It is not necessarily in all cases required for private employers. It is at the federal level for federal employees, federal contractors, etc. But we have seen over the last few years a lot of states picking up state mandates as well. Some states have full mandates for E-Verify. Some states have partial mandates for E-Verify. But essentially what it is it goes hand in hand with the I-9 process, which most employers hopefully are aware of that process, where new employee comes in, they fill out their I-9 form, an employer reviews documents, and generally that would be the end of that process. With E-Verify, it just kind of tacks on a next step. So E-Verify is going to confirm the information that is on the I-9, matches what is in the Social Security Administration records, as well as the Department of Homeland Security records, to make sure that it is the same person and that they are legally authorized to work. So private employers are welcome and by the government encouraged to use this. It is seen as kind of an extra step of due diligence in that onboarding process to ensure that you have a legally authorized workforce employed for your company. And as I said, this is being picked up more at the state level to make that a mandate. So to your point of that post that came up, this is something new in Ohio now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, as you mentioned, it's kind of state by state. Where are we at in Ohio then with this process?
Yes, so in Ohio, we have the first mandate. It is a partial mandate, and it is specific to employers that are non-residential contractors. So that could be roads, it could be utilities, it could be commercial buildings, that kind of thing. Right now, that does not apply to, say, apartment building, houses, that kinds of thing. So only employers that fall within that category are required to start doing E-Verify for all new employees starting March 19th of this year. And that will also apply for subcontractors, as well as, say, if they're hiring through staffing agencies, it would apply for them as well. So it's kind of a big deal in that realm of having to start that pretty soon. That was put into law back in December, and just in a couple weeks here, will be required for.
Look at us being timely on the podcast. I just randomly reached out to you guys about this, and you know what? Sometimes better lucky than good on the timing of these things.
Yes, for sure.
You mentioned that so subcontractors can be impacted by this, and that I would have to imagine means there's a larger ripple effect than maybe people think when you first talk about the types of employers that can be impacted by E-Verify. It might be a small set, but if the subcontractors they use also have to use the system, that ripples out pretty quickly.
Yes, it definitely can. And that's one of those things that I've been telling clients that are, questioning this, is it's definitely a time to talk to legal counsel to see not only for your pre-employment hires and, what you need to do, the policies that need to be in place as you're making that transition, but also to review contracts with your vendors and with those other contractors coming in to make sure that they are doing what they need to do and that you are covered as well as the employer that is bringing them on site into your workforce.
So with this rolling out relatively soon, I'm sure you're trying to walk people through the process. Are there any stumbling blocks people are running into that maybe they need to be aware of as they try and make sure their ducks are in a row to be in compliance with this?
I'd say it's hard to say quite yet. I think people are still trying to figure it out. I think in general, in getting enrolled in E-Verify, it's not very challenging. We at Corporate Intelligence, we are what's called an employer designated agent. So
Mhm.
we can run, basically employers can use our system to run the I-9 electronically and just automatically run the E-Verify right after that. And the setup process is fairly simple. It's really, you have to sign an agreement with E-Verify and kind of just start from there. It can get more complicated as you get, if there are multiple hiring sites
Mhm.
and where you're actually doing your I-9s versus if there's a lot of sites where I-9s are done, you might have to set it up a little differently than if it's all done in one location. So that's, I help employers kind of figure that out based on the structure of their company at that point. But I think with any new law, there could be some gray areas that we don't quite see yet and might come, to the surface as you move forward and find more hiccups and where any gaps might be within there.
The law of unintended consequences starts to come into play with any of these types of
Yes,
things. Uh,
absolutely.
So obviously it's rolling out in Ohio, in states. Is Michigan in the same boat? As I know you guys do some work in Michigan as well. Have they rolled out in Michigan for this or no?
Not quite specifically. I do believe
Okay.
it's more, it's if they work under federal contracts in a
Okay.
different way
Then
as
that
well.
makes sense. No, the only reason I ask on that is just seeing how the process has gone in other states can probably be a good guide of how it will
Mhm.
go in Ohio as it rolls out. Have you seen any issues? It seems like the biggest issue is just being aware and making sure that you get signed up for it and are executing the process right now.
Mhm. Yeah,
And I don't know if that's what you're
absolutely.
seeing across the board or not.
Yeah, I would say so. Is keeping people informed, which it was nice to hear that you did see that post on LinkedIn and that it's getting out there for people to see. So hopefully that will continue. But it really is important in a risk mitigating component of being an employer. So not only not signing up for E-Verify, there are fines associated with this new law, and then also not complying with how it's supposed to work. So once you enroll in E-Verify, you have to run E-Verify in every new employee. It cannot be used in any picking and choosing, potentially
Mhm.
discriminatory manner. So under this law, there are actually fines that range from I think $250 to $1,500 just for forgetting to run an E-Verify once you're enrolled. And then there are fines up to $25,000 for employers who choose to continue employing somebody who does not pass the E-Verify past the final confirmation step. So this one, there are some heavy risks for a business for not complying. So it is definitely important, again, not only to enroll, but to make sure policies are in place and that contracts are updated.
Yeah, I think it would make sense for anybody who does subcontracting work just to double check because I
Mhm.
can just imagine this kind of trickling down and maybe a cleaning company could be impacted, maybe a roofing company, all these types of companies that get contracted out on different types of things. I guess in my mind, that's
Mhm.
who could be impacted that might not realize they could be. But that's why I'm talking to you. You know more about this than I do. Is maybe it doesn't ripple out quite as much as that, but I think it's
Yeah,
something to consider.
I'm not sure yet if it wouldn't get that far. There is, I wish I had that definition up because I do believe there's a definition within the
Okay.
law of what that would look like. I think it's more restrained to the contracting part. So if an employer or, if you have one contractor company, they might not have enough staff to cover a big project. They might have to bring in some other companies to contract under
Okay.
them. So their employees would also need to be run under E-Verify. So that's my understanding of it. Similar with staffing agencies, if they need to hire out of a staffing agency, that staffing agency would have had to do the E-Verify as well.
That makes sense. And as well said, this is why we have the experts on this podcast, because I just ask random questions. I like having people who know what they're talking about on.
That is a great point, though, because it is vague oftentimes of what exactly does that mean and how does it apply. And I mean, there's questions too, because me, as if I were an employer, I'm not running E-Verify myself on another employer's employees. That's their responsibility. So that's where the contracts and those things come into play, because it can get more complicated.
So, Amanda, if people want to learn more about E-Verify as it gets ready to be implemented here in Ohio, what are some good resources for them to turn to?
Yeah, I definitely recommend the E-Verify website. I think it's everify.gov is a great resource. I would also, plug our company, Corporate Intelligence Consultants. We are on LinkedIn primarily right now, and our website. We're posting updates as we learn more. And yeah, that's what I can think of right now for those two. Those are the primary sources in my mind.
Absolutely. Well, Amanda, we appreciate you taking time out of your day to talk to us about this. And thanks for being on the podcast.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.